Good afternoon, Mayor Stacy Wright. My name is Cheryl Donor, and I am here today to present the idea of converting the old swimming pool into an accessible hub for all people living with disabilities. My daughter, Heather Donor, has autism as well as other challenges. With my daughter's high school graduation, we are now focused on finding appropriate support and opportunities for her as well as others in our community. Which brings me to the heart of our proposal, the transformation of the old swimming pool into an exclusive space. Currently, the waiting list for the HALO program presents a significant challenge, with potential wait times ranging from the near future to as long as 5 years before community living involvement can begin. This impacts access to the program's activities and events. We are in desperate need of a day program with suitable activities that involves all challenges that would be more suitable for our loved ones with disabilities, such as having a day program like we had before. I also started a summer program last year, KL Sun Clouds, with various activities that were only being held out in the fields in the Kirkland Lake area as we have no hub. This caused low enrollment, but also gave all individuals an opportunity, something that we had never had before, and I'm also pursuing it again this summer with a bit of a higher enrollment. I would like to present to you my idea of converting the old swimming pool into an accessible hub for all people living with disabilities. I am hopeful that we can reinstate and accommodate individual day programs for all of our loved ones facing challenges. This is crucial, as increased support will foster a more inclusive and supportive environment for those with disabilities. I urge you, Mayor Stacy Wright, to consider the implementation of a day program at our old swimming pool, a hub, as a valuable resource for our community, promoting inclusively empowerment and support for individuals with special needs. I know that together we can create a more inclusive and supportive environment for all of our members in our community. The absence of a reliable day program makes it difficult for caregivers to juggle work and caregiving duties, which is discriminatory. Consequently, caregivers are often forced to seek government funding, resulting in families losing their jobs or relying on child benefits or EI, as we struggle to find and afford respite workers or worker, which is also difficult so we can go to work due to the lack of consistent support programs for those with special needs. In our community, we are blessed with many unique individuals who live with disabilities. Unfortunately, their needs are not consistently being met. Our loved ones require areas that can provide activities and adapt to all their abilities, nurturing social connections, such as day program being located at our old swimming pool. This can provide them with a sense of belonging, where they can engage in activities, and they are adapted to their abilities and to participate within our community as the old swimming pool is being filled. I am presenting the idea to have it transformed into a hub for our loved ones to be given a place of growth and enriching our community. I have done some research. I have reached out to many organizations, and I am thrilled to announce that the significant interest from the following: the support of over 300 people signing a baseless petition, the Kirkland and District Competent School Resource Room, the elementary schools, families that have loved ones residing with them, community living in the Congregated of Living Facilities, Beaver House First Nations, Community Mental Health Association, and I'm sure there are plenty more, who are eager to utilize the hub. I believe their interests being involved would greatly enhance the program's impact and reach. The attraction of having a hub will bring more population to our municipality that will better our area for individuals to get better services such as healthcare, education, and entertainment. I do believe that there is more out there. Mayor Stacy Wright, I would also like to present the financial aspects of establishing this hub. The initial infrastructure's value would be identified by several funding avenues to offset these expenses. We can plan to leverage provincial funding from the Ontario government, explore federal grants, and actively pursue various other grant opportunities. a list that I submitted to you, Mayor Stacy Wright, to review. I am confident that with the combination of these resources, we can minimize the financial burden on the town while maximizing the positive impact on our community's loved ones. To ensure the long-term sustainability of the hub, we can also envision a model where individuals with disabilities and their families can contribute financially based on their capacity. This could involve a tiered system of fees for specific programs or services, ensuring accessibility while also generating revenue to offset operational costs. We can work with families to ensure these fees are manageable and do not create barriers to participation, recognizing the individual's disabilities and their families often have access to various funding sources. Unfortunately, some end up losing their funding as they had challenges finding respite care or services, leaving them feeling more defeated. We are aware of various funding programs available to support individuals with disabilities, including Ontario Disability, Community Living, and Passport funding, and I'm sure there are more. While the specific amounts may vary, depending on individual circumstances, I am confident that by leveraging these resources, we can ensure the financial viability and long-term success of the hub. In conclusion, the hub presents a significant opportunity to improve the lives of individuals with disabilities and enrich our community. While the initial investment is considerable, it will generate more employment opportunities and enable caregivers to return to work. Furthermore, I'll be presenting an additional proposal concerning programming for the hub that will offer diverse activities and services tailored to meet the needs and interests of individuals with disabilities, fostering skill development, social interaction, and personal growth. Let's bring back the essence of the day program, integrating it back into our community's framework. Thank you for your time and consideration, Mayor Stacy Wright.
Okay, I do apologize, Director, you may proceed.
Following council's direction earlier this year, we issued an RFP and received two strong proposals. After a thorough evaluation, Environmental 360 Solution emerged as the top ranked proponent, offering the best balance of cost, service quality, and alignment with our strategic goals. For Kirkland Lake, the key changes proposed include transitioning both residential and commercial properties to once per week waste collection, ending municipal collection from commercial waste sheds to improve safety and operational efficiency, and assigning responsibility for overflow waste to individual property owners. While council previously considered every other week residential collection, public feedback, particularly concerns about wildlife intrusion, strongly supports maintaining weekly services. Though this option is 11% more costly, it better addresses community safety and service expectations. The recommended contract totals 3.22 million plus HST over 5 years and includes provisions for automated bin collection. Town-owned facilities with specialized needs will be serviced separately through private arrangements. This approach supports our strategic goals, service excellence, sustainable core services, and financial stewardship. It also reflects our commitment to modernizing operations while remaining responsive to residents' concerns. I respectfully recommend that council approve the proposed service model and award the contract to Environmental 360 Solutions Limited and authorize the necessary bylaw and contract execution steps. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from members of council? Councillor Shava.
To your worship, to the director, this is, you indicated, you guys gone through the competitive procurement process. And again, this is not in any way, to be construed as a slight to this company, but maybe it's a general question. Would that part of that competitive process be vetting for arrears or outstanding property taxes for anybody in general? That is that part of that, if it's possible? I'm sure there are people from out of town that would bid on that. I think would that part of that?
I'm not sure I understand the question, Councillor.
Okay, I think what I'm trying to get at is that since we're trying to get out everybody to be up to date on their taxes. So when we're awarding contract and part of your process, does that include checking to make sure there are no outstanding, for anyone, there are no outstanding taxes?
Madam Mayor, Councillor,
Is that something that you don't?
it's not something that we explored at all for this contract.
Thank you. Okay, thank you.
Councillor Owen.
Yes, through you, your worship. It's just for clarification for myself. I'm not questioning that it's in the contract. I'm just wondering what facilities the town has special needs, and perhaps what are these? I'm not asking for a complete list, but just to give me an idea what that is and maybe how we deal with our own special needs. Thank you.
Through you, Madam Mayor, to Councillor Owen. Basically, through the changes that we're asking, we're also asking every commercial property to do the exact same, that waste that's generated from a commercial property be handled by the business owner. So we're proposing to do the exact same thing for municipal owned buildings. I'm going to take TPR as being a classic example where they require hand collection and there's no way to get around it. Therefore, mechanical means are not suitable for that location. Therefore, instead of incorporating that into the town's collection contract, we think it's more appropriate to have it separate. Another example is the public works location where we have a waste shed. We want to dismantle the waste shed and we would like to have some front end loaded bins. And we think that we're going to get some more competitive prices from the available companies. Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Owens, and then Councillor Dykens, and then Councillor Shava.
Through you, Madam Mayor, I'm glad the report is well done. We're going in the right direction with the changes of level of services. In the original report, there was mention of weeding out bins that don't belong to the town and garbage is being collected out of them. Does this include multiple residential building units where I won't show it publicly, but there's one this morning where out of the 12 bins out there, there was half of them weren't town-owned bins. Is that still gonna be a situation? Or do they have to revert to a front-end type of system as well?
Through Madam Mayor, we are going to be doing an inventory of everyone's garbage bins. And we are going to be following the existing bylaw, however, the bylaw will be brought back to council because there's going to be some changes. In regards to the recycling, we no longer take care of recycling. There are multi-residential apartments where they're just significantly larger, and I'm gonna take it on Tweedsmuir, for example, there's large units there. We're gonna be in direct communication with the owners of that property because it kind of like an outlier for everyone else. It's kind of like an exception. But every other business and every other multi-residential will be collecting the extra bins that they have and have conversations with them to ensure that they understand. And there's gonna be a media campaign that's gonna go out. We're gonna do our very best to get a hold of every business and have a conversation with them.
Perfect, thank you.
Counselor Dykens.
Just, through you, Madam Mayor, sorry, yeah, this is good, I just have a couple, questions. Doing quick math, you're doing half the number of pickups, and only, you're saying we would only realize, 11% savings, that math doesn't add up to me, so I'm missing something obviously. So it says, if we went from, we would only save, $381,940 over 5 years. And the value of the contract is over 3 million, so I'm just wondering if we're getting half the service or.
Madam Mayor, the 11% is in reference to both models that were presented. One was a weekly collection and the other was a every other week collection.
Right.
So the every once a week collection is 11% more expensive than every other week, is what is being said.
Yeah, and that doesn't make financial sense if you're doing twice. Or less than half the work and there's only 11% savings, that's okay, I
It's
just,
because there's still a set amount of equipment that needs to be purchased and maintained for the same contract, for the same period. Contractors will not reduce their price by 50% for these types of circumstances. They're still obligated to purchase the same trucks. They still have to man them. Those are the prices that were presented in the RFP. Yes.
I agree, math doesn't add up, so sorry, for that, but that's okay. The second thing is, says if there's overflow that individuals will be responsible, or residents will be responsible for that, or the businesses. I know where the overflow goes, I walk a lot in Kirkland Lake and it gets overflowed beside the roads, so I wonder, have we looked into people possibly being able to purchase tags? Like if they do happen to have a little extra garbage, for a particular week, we can pay for that and it gets picked up by. I think other town municipalities do that on a regular basis, I don't know.
Through your Madam Mayor, currently that is not the recommendations that we're putting forward. However, yes, there are some models of that type. But it does put an extra burden on the town's staff to coordinate, because there will be. The problem is that if you have the same truck going to collect all trash, whether they're tagged or if they're regular, it creates an issue, because now the contractor is looking for ways of how to separate. Because the tags are still subject to tipping fees while the tipping fees are waived for the contract. So it's a little harder to explain. But the bag and tag system, part of the RFP, we had asked the proponents to supply us with an idea of overflow garbage. How would that be handled? One of the proponents suggested a bag and tag system. And whereas the other proponent suggested the quarterly pickup system, which required a lot more investigation into. Both didn't seem overly reasonable. They were priced quite high. And to keep everybody fair and consistent and transparent, I feel that every business, whether residential or business, should be taking care of their overflow garbage. I understand that you're saying that some may choose to throw them in the bush, but we gotta hold people responsible for their
For
actions.
sure. Thank you, I just wanted to know if that was, explored, so thank you.
It was, yes.
Okay, anything further from members of council? All in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item carried unanimous. Item 6.2, Tech Pioneer Residents TPR Operational Review Contract Award. This will be presented by CAO Alan Smith, moved by Councillor Ranger, seconded by Councillor Rick Owen.
Be it resolved that report number 2025 CAO 12 entitled Tech Pioneer Residents TPR Operational Review Contract Award be received, and that council hereby award the contract to Optimus SBR Inc. for the provision of consultancy services for conducting an operational review of Tech Pioneer residents as outlined in the scope of work identified within 6/2025 RFP as presented in the amount of $106,718 plus HST. And that the mayor and municipal clerk be authorized to execute the contract and any related amendments proposed in favor of the municipality without detrimental impact in a form satisfactory to the chief administrative officer and the director of long-term care and senior services. And finally, that an execution bylaw be brought forward for 3 review. 19. Wait.
Thank you. You may proceed, sir.
Madam Mayor, members of council. The town of Kirkland Lake issued an RFP for an operational review of Tech Pioneer residents with the objective to evaluate and enhance the operational efficiency, financial management and care quality, regulatory compliance, and resident quality of life. The review is to be completed by November 30th, and a successful proposal would include on-site assessments, stakeholder consultations, and financial and legislative analysis, aiming to identify cost savings, improve service delivery, and support sustainable municipal long-term care aligned with the town's corporate strat plan. One proposal was received that was from Optimus SBR. The proposal outlined their conducting of a comprehensive evidence-based operational review of TPR that identifies actionable opportunities to enhance organizational effectiveness, financial sustainability, quality of care, while investigating revenue generating opportunities. Optimus SBR is one of the largest independently Canadian owned and operated consulting firms in North America. They have over 10 years experience working with municipalities. The team that has been assembled for this project have worked with private and public long-term care providers and municipalities. The team has experience conducting operational reviews of long-term care homes in municipalities and community health, where this included assessing financial performance, staffing models, compliance readiness, and care quality. Optimus SBR Inc. will be responsible to deliver a project plan, a comprehensive operational review report, a confidential addendum if required, and a council to a presentation to this council. Optimus SBR's proposal of $106,000 and $718 plus HST is within the allocated budget amount of $120,000. Based on the proposed experience, proposed methodology and price, administration is recommending Optimus SBR be awarded the contract to conduct an operational review of TPR.
Thank you, sir. Any questions or comments from council? Councillor Dykens.
Through you, Madam Mayor, if, this is awarded, is there I know we can't dictate when the project, when the review is done, but can we give like an end? When we expect, the report back, just,
Yeah, according to the timeline from the consultant, we're looking at a finished product November 30th.
Okay.
However, I would like to say that there could be some. Maybe the odd delay, depends how the budget
Yeah.
goes, but that is the intention to get this to council end of the year.
Thank you.
Any further questions or comments from council? All in favor? Opposed, and noted, item carried unanimous. Item 6.3, hiring and employment of relatives and updated recruitment and selection policy. This will be delivered by Director of Corporate Services, Sean Lecarte, moved by Councillor Casey Owens and seconded by Councillor Ladd Shattuck.
Be it resolved that report number 2025 Corp 20 entitled proposed hiring and employment of relatives policy and updated recruitment and selection policy be received. That council approve the hiring and employment of relatives policy as presented. And that council approve the updates to the recruitment and selection policy as presented. And that the hiring and employment of relatives policy be numbered. And find that both policies as presented be inserted into the corporate policy manual.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. You may proceed.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you to council. The town of Kirkland Lake is committed to a fair, transparent, and merit-based recruitment process that selects the most qualified candidates. The updates and proposals to the policies highlighted in the report ensure that administration has a clear and uniform language to put into operational action, and that continued hiring, transfer, and promotional decisions are free from undue influence, and uphold the town's values and integrity, equity, and accountability. The town's existing recruitment and selection policy was approved on April 6, 2021, and included a limited section on nepotism. Upon review by administration, it was identified the nepotism section is in the existing policy lacked clear language and direction. There was some of the policy or some part of that policy was up for interpretation, so it made it tough to use. So administration is recommended to the removal of the nepotism section for the policy and creating a new hiring and employment of relatives policy, which wasn't touched upon. It should be noted that while the employment of relatives is not prohibited, it must comply with an established policy to prevent real, perceived, or potential conflict of interest and avoid any appearance of nepotism. Given the proposal above, the existing recruitment and selection policy was also updated to exclude that section and enhance definitions, improve language and formatting. Administration believes that the proposed hiring and employment relatives policy is a necessary part of the town's hiring practices, along with the updates to the town's existing recruitment and selection policy. Administration is of the opinion that both will continue to appropriately guide staff, promote fairness, and maintain a professional work environment and ensure that employment decisions are based on merit rather than personal relationships. So basically what we brought forward, and I open to any questions I might have to.
Thank you. Questions or comments from members of council? None noted. All in favor? Opposed? Item carried unanimous. Thank you, sir. Item number 7 is considerations of notices and motions. At this time, I will act acting Mayor Janice Ranger to take the chair. Just a quick note. This month, acting chair is Councillor Owen, but because he is the mover, it would have went to acting chair Pat Kiley, but Pat is absent tonight, so it just keeps going around the table. So thank you, ma'am.
Um, 7.1, Councillor Rick Olin, traffic control signage on Government Road. Yeah.
Yep. Moved by Councillor Rick Owens, seconded by Mayor Stacy White. Whereas the town of Kirkland Lake Strategic Plan 2024 to 2026 and beyond is built on priority areas of service excellence, sustainable core services, infrastructure, and a vibrant and prosperous community. And whereas painted directional signs on roads can become faded over time and require continual maintenance, as well as being subject to winter conditions that decrease their visibility to motorists, causing potential health and safety concerns. And whereas installing overhead lane directional signs along the connecting link on Government Road as the main roadway through our community would add safety and decrease directional confusion, when approaching intersections, thus addressing sustainable core services, improving infrastructure, and adding to a vibrant and prosperous community. And whereas government road is under the jurisdiction of the town and may be modified to reflect the needs of the local community, however, as it is a designated connecting link, most modifications require consultation with and approval from the Ministry of Transportation of Ontario, the MTO, thereby limiting the town's authority to certain aspects only. Now therefore be it resolved that administration investigate adding overhead directional signs at each controlled intersection, 7 in total, along the connecting link on Highway 66, known as Government Road, and find that administration report back to council on the process and costing of adding overhead directional signage.
Thank you, Councillor Owen, would you like to speak to your motion?
Yes, through you, acting mayor. This motion has been a long time in coming. It's had a lot of frustration on my part. Because we're not changing anything, and yet we still have to get provincial approval. This is an attempt to reduce road rage and make government road safer. It's an ongoing issue. It was brought to my attention this summer or early in late spring by a resident in Kirkland Lake. Unfortunately, this year, the arrows are later in getting painted because we're trying, the works department is trying a new torch on paint, which is supposed to last longer, but they're still waiting for it to arrive. So that's just made the whole situation this summer even worse. The lines themselves, I found out there was a little confusion early on. The lines themselves are contracted out, and therefore, in terms of painting the lane lines, we are at the mercy of the contractor. And with our contract being small, it usually gets left till later in the summer. The idea of putting the signs up is so that these other factors won't be as severe. Just today, I was beside a car with an out of province plate. And through 2 intersections, they were in the wrong lane. Now, I was aware this might happen, so I drove accordingly. But it was just a reflection of how, we're not being fair to people from out of town because another driver might get really upset and yell and scream at them, and that's not the image we want either. My oldest son, Richard, came up for a week's holidays. And I don't know where he gets this from, but in no uncertain terms, he let me know about the unpainted arrows on the roads on Government Road. And it's just another example of someone who doesn't live here, grew up here, but doesn't live here. So I think it's something we need to look at. It may have to be done incremental depending on the costs. But I believe it's something we should start working on. And hopefully the MTO, and I can't see why they would object, but if they do object, I'm sure they will give us a reason. Would say no. I want to thank Stefan and the CAO and the mayor for a meeting so we could to educate all of us on what seemed to be a simple motion. Turned out to be a little more bureaucratic than I wish, so. Again, and again, it's an example of staff and council working together. So, thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Mayor White, would you like to speak?
Thank you, Acting Mayor Ranger. Definitely, this is an easy motion to support, just on safety aspects alone. Many of the intersections along that corridor do have directional signs, and certain ones were missing. So I myself have witnessed close calls, specifically, which comes to mind, the intersection at Dino's. Being often you see 2 vehicles approaching at the same time, not realizing that it's not a turning lane versus a flow through. So definitely this is something that is an easy motion to support, and I hope that all other members of council feel the same. Thank you, Acting Mayor.
Any other questions or comments? Councillor Bacon?
To you, acting mayor, just wondering why, like, just for information, why we contract out the painting of. That's what you said, right? Like
Yeah.
that, yeah, so just for information, I would contract the, I'm sure it's.
So Dykens, line painting can't be done in-house because it requires specialized equipment to keep the lines extremely strict. It's as simple as an answer.
Just,
Follow up?
yeah, just as I noticed, we do other, like the handicapped. Signs and, or painting and whatever, so that's why I just went to, thank you.
Councilor Shabba?
Yeah, yes, clarification of, I hope this motion will not preclude the still ongoing anti-directional signs on roads. I don't think is one or the other, right? This is just in addition to what we have now, right? Is that right? Okay, yeah, good. And the question to director with you, to you, acting chair, is why is it that we always get all those lines painted late in the season? Is that that why can't they at least try to get us in maybe mid-summer somewhere or at the beginning of summer, that way people will at least enjoy this line before the snow fly, right? Is that where on the bottom of the list, I think Miller does this, right?
Through you, acting chair, to Councillor Chap. Yeah, we definitely, we're always in communication with Miller in May of every year to try to get them early. And unfortunately, they've been having trouble getting to us and other locations quickly in the year. We have been in communication with Miller to try to find solutions to that, because we're in agreement with you that it should happen much earlier in the year. For safety reasons primarily, and secondly, beautification of the town. We're gonna keep up on Miller to try to do a better job next year. Not to do a better job, sorry, to come to us sooner in the year. I'm in total agreement with you. Okay.
Thank you. Any other questions? I'm gonna let Councilor Owens first and let you.
It's just a quick comment, it's. On this, I know we're off topic, but it's not just Kirkland Lake, cause I was in Timmins a few weeks ago, and as much as I hate the fact we don't have lines. In front of their DSAC building, it was a total free-for-all. It was like L'Arc de Triomphe in Paris, where there's no lines, no whatever, so you don't know where to line up, so it's not just a Kirkland Lake issue. As frustrating as it is, Timmins had the same issue, so it's not just on Kirkland Lake. And I do admit I did criticize the fact we don't have lines, but. It was. Both for messaging.
After you, acting there, I just wanted to say, anybody's been on Highway 11 will know where Miller's been painting lines. Their equipment's been tied up, that's a very big contract. And it's also we're Trans-Canada Highway 2, but it's a much heavier trafficked part of the Trans-Canada Highway. And I think this is a situation we faced in previous years and probably will continue to face, and all we can do is continue to say, please, could you make our town safer earlier? But I mean, if you own Miller Paving and you've got a multi-million-dollar job doing Highway 11, and you got a, I don't know how many $1,000 job or whatever to do Kirkland Lake. I know where my priorities would be, and you can't. I'm not knocking the company, I mean, that's just the reality of the way our system works, unfortunately.
Any other comments or questions? All in favor? All opposed? Unanimous?
Thank you, Acting Mayor Ranger. Item number 8. Introduction, reading, and consideration of bylaws. There are none this evening. 9, questions from council to staff. There are also none submitted prior to council. Item number 10, notices of motion. None noted this evening. Item number 11, Councilor's report, moved by Councillor Owen, seconded by Councillor Ranger.
Be it resolved that the verbal updates for members of council be received.
Thank you. Does any members of council have anything to share within the community, any boards, any events that they've attended?
Speak to it.
Yeah, okay. Good as well, if you want. Okay, so noting that there is none from members of council, though we don't do it often, I do want to recognize this evening, the birthday of a Kirkland Lake resident, Dorothy McDonald, who will turn 104 on the 23rd of this month. How incredible it must be to live that long. And we want to wish Dorothy just an extraordinary happy birthday at the end of the month on the 23rd. I would also like to bring attention to another Kirkland Lake resident who will be traveling to Thailand in November of this year. Carter St. Jean, who will compete with the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Canadian national team in the World Championship. There are only 2 individuals per age, belt, and weight division that can represent all of Canada. So to have one of our own competing is no small feat. A massive, massive congratulations goes out to this individual. And I hope he knows that we'll all be cheering him on and can't wait to hear about his experience when he returns. There is a GoFundMe page to support him, so for those who wish and can donate, please do so. This week I followed up with complaints and concerns brought to me by members of the public. Though as council, we are always to direct members of the public to go back to members of staff, as they are the ones that deal with the day-to-day issues. We do have the ability to escalate through the CAO, who is our one and only staff member as council. I believe most of the time people don't expect an issue to be resolved in the moment, but what they do expect is communication of when an issue can and will be addressed. I do believe it's part of how we give excellent customer service as per our strategic plan. And finally, Councillor Ranger and I attended a group discussion with other appointed members of the local OPP detachment board to set a plan of action as to how we get this local detachment board operational. In the coming weeks, as appointed members get their vulnerable sector checks completed, our community will see our council sanction the appointing of Councillor Ranger and myself to this board. And that is all in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item carried unanimous. Item number 12, additional information. There is none this evening. There is no closed session this evening, and therefore item 14, matters from closed session, there are also none. Item number 15, confirmation bylaw number 25-051. Moved by Councillor Dykens, seconded by Councillor Owen, Rick Owen.
Be it resolved that the following bylaw be read, numbered, passed, signed by the mayor and municipal clerk, and the seal of the corporation be affixed thereto. Bylaw number 2551, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council at its meeting held Tuesday, August 5th, 2025.
All in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item carried unanimous. And move for adjournment. Councillor Casey Owens. Thank you very much, everyone.